let's talk about past tense. The 11th episode in the first series of the Venture Brothers, and a pretty interesting one. We are first introduced to the mainly full Team Venture here, and it's the first time we really see them in action. We've seen some brief memories of them throughout the show, but this is the first time we meet them. But the episode starts with Rusty, the boys, and Brock on their way to a funeral.
Dust to dust.
Damn it, we're late already. Is my tie on straight?
Doc complains they've been waylaid by some other shenanigans.
Why is it every time I need to get somewhere we get waylaid by jackassery?
As the boys recount an excellent adventure with ant people, where Brock ended up making special love to the Queen.
The ant people needed our help, and Brock made special friends with their queen.
At which point, Rusty, like the sane, normal person he is, decides to knock the controls from Brock's hands.
You try paying the electric bill.
And they crash straight into a coffin in a funeral, or in a graveyard at a funeral. Fortunately for Rusty, it's not the funeral he was meant to be at, which he doesn't know where it is, because he's Rusty. We get to see inside the church, where the only guest of note so far is Pete White.
I mean, am I supposed to be all sad and stuff?
No.
And Rusty and White reminisce about their college days, as the boys talk dead people.
You see dead guys all the time.
When?
Dude, just last week, Brock killed 2 dervishes with a pillowcase full of cokes, right in our bedroom.
You just knocked them out.
Yo.
Dean claiming never to have seen one, and Hank explaining that Brock murdering every single person he meets is, in fact, murder, and he's not knocking them out. We get our first look at teenage Rusty, his long locks, TS for Thaddeus.
You'd be fighting if you quit writing me about my do. And it's TS now. Nobody calls me Rusty anymore.
We get a glimpse where even Jonas doesn't look too bad, though he is always ringing Rusty when he's in a room. Odd how he always seems to know when he's in there.
How does my father always know when I'm in my room?
We get our first look into Rusty's scientific incompetence as he explains to Mike Soriano that robots definitely a fad.
Yeah, he doesn't really know that much about robots. They're a fad anyway, Mike. You'd be better off majoring in Betamax.
And Mike, I believe, check my sources, editing Ollie, is a reference to what's his name, or probably also Mike, from that Coen Brothers film, In the Snow. It's called Fargo. And we also get introduced to Leslie Cohen, a character who never shows up, but is a very core part of the episode.
I'm tutoring Leslie Cohen.
As we get introduced to Colin White, and he talks about a tiny, shiny chubby.
That's cause he's got a tiny, shiny chubby for.
Brock and Rusty explain to the boys they were in fact roommates in college, but not necessarily friends.
With Brock? That is so unbelievably cool!
No wonder you guys are such super pals!
Actually, back then we didn't see much of each other.
As Brock was very often not in the room when Rusty was, or was preoccupied. And it's probably where the room in which Brock learned what a Rusty venture truly is. And then the 4th member of our funeral shows up. It is Baron von Underbite.
Baron Underbite!
Yeah? You told him?
No! Baron Underbite is right there!
Brock reassures the boys that Underbite won't do anything because they are on hallowed ground.
He's not gonna do anything. It's hallowed ground.
We reminisce to the days when he was in fact Pete's roommate with his creepy manservant that he's had since he was 17? 18? Not weird.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Total dick.
The tape was on the floor for a reason, Peter.
Rusty then reveals that he was also in college with the Monarch, as he explains that one of his creative writing buddies had eyebrows out to here.
Want to see eyebrows? Come to my creative writing class. There's this kid, no joke, they're out to here. And the weirdness doesn't stop there. All he writes are these way too specific poems about monarch butterflies. Total closet case.
As the four men start to lift the coffin, it turns out to be a booby trap. They're gassed, and the rockets on the coffin fly them away to a secret location. It is up to Tank and Dean to come up with a rescue plan.
I'm thinking we bust out the hover bikes, load them up with like hand grenades and plasma cannons.
They debate calling on the ant people. They debate rescuing them with lasers and grenades, but they go with the old classic Team Venture.
Idea.
And we see Kano, the Action Man, Otto Aquarius, and Colonel Gentleman. While not every member of the team that there ever was, pretty much the core group we see throughout, maybe missing Dr. Entman.
Good day to you, Colonel Horace Gentleman, Kano, master of the martial art, Otto Aquarius, exiled son of Atlantis, the Action Man.
How you doing?
We then find the four college boys locked in a room together. Brock, quick to anger, lurches towards Baron von Underbite, quickly realizing this couldn't have been his plan since he is also chained to the wall with an albino.
You did this. You did this, didn't you?
Lock myself in a dungeon chained to an albino.
They then discuss the logistics of their old college friends' weird, creepy sex robots. Mike talks about his restraining order with Leslie, and
You made Leslie Cohen robots.
the original Team Venture explains to the boys that their father had a tracking tooth put in his mouth, and that's how his father always knew when he was in his room.
Brock! Oh, that part's gravy pie. Your granddad implanted a homing device in one of your father's molars when he was just a kid.
At this point, Dr. Orpheus comes looking for his cat, poor timing on his behalf, as Team Venture is ready to spring into action.
Honey.
Action! Holy crap! No, don't!
Guns blazing, an epic battle takes place, which Orpheus wins pretty decidedly. Predicting that the Action Man will have a stroke in exactly 2 years, which ominous prophecy comes true.
2 years, 17 days. From a stroke.
Good day! Hey, those two, overheating there or something? Something smells...
Rodney?
Toast! Rodney, what's wrong with you?
Oh my God, is he having a heart attack?
A stroke.
Oh my God, we have to get him to the hospital right now.
Our college roommates continue to reminisce about their past. Mike angry at Werner for giving him fake marijuana that turned out to be oregano, triggering his allergies. He could have died.
Psych! It's oregano! You've been smoking a lie, you tiny fool!
The Action Man explains to us the logistics of becoming an aqua person.
Well, how do I get to be one of those?
A drunken sailor has to have his way with your mermom, kid.
Someone has to have sex with your fish mum. Normal stuff. And we find Team Venture stumbling across Rusty's old college room, having used the tracking tip in his tooth to find it.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, only realizing Rusty must have removed it many years ago to stop his father tracking him. We then get Pete White's White Room story, why Mike wants revenge against him, and it was broadcasting to the entire college about his crush on Leslie.
To Leslie Cohen, from her little buddy Mike Soriyama. And he writes, Leslie, I masturbate furiously to your picture every night. Please notice me.
One of Pete's more brutal moments, definitely one of his funniest.
The old fake coffin trick. Gadzooks, you'd think I would have remembered that one for the mystery of the old fake coffin.
Team Venture follow the fake coffin and start to prepare their plan to rescue Rusty.
Oh no!
While Mike talks about the worst thing done to him.
My barbarian. Sphinx is +3 battle axe.
The fact that Rusty slept with Leslie Cohen in Dungeons & Dragons as a wizard.
The wizard seduces her.
What? You can't do that.
Sure I can. I have like 25 charisma points.
Rusty then explains that he didn't in fact lose his virginity till he was 24, probably because he was having sex with golems in D&D.
God, you're gonna kill me because I had fake sex on graph paper with a girl who barely spoke to you in real life? Don't such thing. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 24.
Of course, this leaves Mike confused, thinking that that Rusty was the one who had in fact slept with Leslie Cohen. Brock is breaking out of the jail cell using Werner's jaw.
Out of everyone, you betrayed me the most.
And Mike says that he was the worst of them all. Brock killed a man back in college. Accidentally, we assume. He decides to get very drunk.
The night of our last D&D game. Of course, none of us knew at the time he'd been thrown off the football team that very day for accidentally killing Tommy the quarterback. Or that he'd get super drunk on it.
And take his revenge out on his roommates. While they were playing D&D, Brock stands on one of their dice.
Who the hell
are you?
I think that's your roommate, Rust.
Sending him into a mindless rage. And as Team Venture infiltrate the compound, take out the Leslie bots and dress up to help save Rusty, Brock, reminded of his rampage, is triggered once again, and he goes all Brock Ness monster.
How about you, sir?
Hey, what are you? No! Hey! No, please!
Taking out the entire Team Venture without a scratch. We also see in this flashback Rusty's tooth getting knocked from his mouth, because he was not in fact fast enough to realise it was a tracker. It was sheer dumb luck. As Otto is thrown through a wall.
Stop it! Hey!
We find out Mike Sorayama is in fact a robot, and the real Mike has been dead all along.
And I think I know where!
They leave White and Baron Undervite to fend for themselves as they head off in the X1. And we get a lovely after-credit scene where we see Brock telling Rusty about his father's unfortunate demise just the day after he had his, well, daylight beat out of him by Brock. So, probably not the best time in Rusty's life. College, that is.
Venture Industries called while you were at the infirmary. Your dad died. Later.
Oh no!
Go, Team Venture!